Like any child growing up, you get used to just working in crayons, pastels, chalk, sidewalk chalk, and you just want to recreate the world that you see around you in your own way. So, what naturally happened with me was this desire and passion to do that. But at the same time, I started recognizing that people were getting into what I was doing, into what I was creating. My name is Cedric Michael Cox. I'm a visual artist doing painting and drawing for about 20 years, and I'm going to have an exhibition at Baker Hunt, and I'm very excited about it. It's going to be called Mindful Joy. I was trained originally with oil paints at the University of Cincinnati College of Design, Architecture, Art, and Planning. And then I just started getting into acrylics. I like the quick results of things drying fast. I like the fact that with the kind of work that I do, the abstract forms that I create, there's kind of this refined and quick and immediate effect with acrylics that I like. After graduating from the university, I started doing these graphite drawings. And of course, with drawing, it's real immediate. And I think acrylic paint lended to that. Now, my history with paint started, of course, with poster paints as a kid. But I think just the overall mystique and the majestic way that painting is portrayed in art history, rather than drawing and all the other mediums, is just is what drove me to think that I'm an artist, I'm a painter. This is what we do. A lot of the forms I create are related to nature, man-made forms, and human anatomy, internal human anatomy, which is basically the whole idea that I'm telling a story of who I am from the inside out, kind of like rather than the outside in, kind of like portraiture. So it's kind of like my inner spirit. So these drawings become these living forms within themselves, but they come to life through the color. And the color is just like the drawings, a whole list of different ideas and color schemes and a library of different color forms. And then we just match them up and see what happens. I would start with these large abstract drawings that related to human anatomy and the inner city where I was living at over the Rhine. So a lot of the forms and shapes were very graffiti styled and very urban and very quilt-like, very dense. Like there was not a lot of movement with the work. And then obviously, I started moving into painting slowly. But what got me back into painting was the idea of actually painting on canvas and just cutting it and creating a quilt-like pattern. It brought my realization of color back into my mind again after doing the graphite drawings. Then after that, I started doing these really dense cityscapes based upon my environment where I was, painting and living in over the Rhine. The environments of these subjects, like the architecture, started changing and morphing into these Cubist-inspired paintings, and then even these atmospheric paintings where my Cubist forms dance within the atmosphere. And so I went into portraiture, went into figurative aspects within my work, as well as floral arrangements, some of these traditional themes and still lifes that you see in contemporary art. So I guess it's not so much about my art changing, it's more about my art evolving. Because now when I want people to come to my show or anything that I'm doing, I want them to see a variety of what I can do, whether it's the Cubist stuff, the atmospheric stuff, or stuff that relates to landscape or nature. I want them to have a variety of things so they can see who I am and so I can appeal to different audiences. This painting is called Heaven on Earth. This painting is inspired by the fact that you have two point of views coming together to create one idea of beauty, one idea of heaven, one idea of peace on earth in this time. A friend of mine asked me to create a work of art inspired by the Muslim and Jewish conflict that's happening over Palestine and Israel, and creating something that celebrates a peaceful outcome and at the same time creates a moment in time that's sacred, because we are in a very sacred time in our world history. And also here in America, we're also having different points of views from different political ideologies fight against each other. So we're at a time where we need to find our likenesses rather than our differences. And it's about finding that middle ground and celebrating that middle ground so we can move to a peaceful age in our world history and get closer to heaven. Because Baker Hunt is an educational institution that has different classes based in different mediums within the arts, I like the fact that maybe professors and teachers and teaching artists can actually take their students to the exhibition and actually use my exhibition as a reference to art history, as a reference to a contemporary painter or a local painter who's successfully making art. One thing I want the audience to take away from the show is the feeling of joy. I want them to be happy. I want them to see the colors, see the arrangement, and have an appreciation for not just my art, but art in general in a different way.